All right, ladies and gentlemen. So in today's video, we're going to be covering somebody who we have not covered since August of 2024. And that has none other than Nick Calandra. Nick Calandra is a content creator, fake access media journalist, whatever you want to call him, somebody who was part of the access media, but then essentially got kicked out or left on his own accord after a falling out with them and decided to found his own company. He's the co-founder and supposed content director of the YouTube channel called Second Win. Now, Second Win is a channel that is utilized by multiple different personalities, one of which is Yahtzee, who they basically leech off of his fame, leech off of his influence, and try to make as much money as possible. Now, their Patreon, which is highly successful, is not as successful as it used to be. Their Patreon used to make well over $50,000 a month, and I don't believe that it makes anywhere near that anymore. I made a post about them in August of 2024 that we're going to go over in this video, and we also have a screenshot of their last known salaries for each particular person working over at Second Win that we're going to discuss as well. But why are we talking about Nick Calandra? Well, it's because, I guess every year it's kind of like nobody wants to learn from history at this point, and they kind of want to repeat the same shit that they do all the time. Nick Calandra thought that it was in his best interest to try to summon the entire gaming industry to go against the people that he hates so much, which is the YouTubers. Yes, the people who make money, because it's really about money at the end of the day. He doesn't like that people make money speaking opposite of what he speaks, right? He wants to be the one who is the lead, right? He wants to be the one that has the only narrative. He wants to be the one that has the only YouTube channel that has conversations about video games in the industry, but then he doesn't want to be considered to be access media because he's outside of that circle now. This person decided to post on LinkedIn, and Master the TDS was nice enough to screen cap it. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have known, because I don't give a fuck about these people. I generally don't. Like I said, the last video I made was in August of 2024. It is now October 2025. I clearly don't fucking care about this guy. But when you're going to go after YouTubers and you're going to try to make the same claims that you made last year that got you in hot water in the first place, yeah, you best believe I'm going to do a follow-up video just to see what's going on. So shout out to Master the TDS. He says the following. Nick Calandra posted on LinkedIn urging game studios to take action against YouTubers and social media creators that he claims are lying and hurting sales. Kim Blair from Sweet Baby Inc. also liked the post, showing she most likely agrees with the sentiment. Now, two things I find very interesting about all of this, right? Number one, Nick Calandra, I'm almost positive at some point was one of the people who were trying to say that us, the YouTubers, us, the social media people, us, the chuds, we don't have any influence, right? He was trying to say that we don't mean anything. We're a small minority to the conversation. If he didn't say it, you damn sure know his orbiters said it. And meanwhile, here we are a year later where now apparently we have all the power in the world. Now, apparently, the moment we speak about a video game negatively, apparently that's enough to want to kill the game. I just find this to be interesting. Some days we have no power. Some days we have all the power. Some days it's never in between. It's always one or the other, depending on what the narrative is, right? And also, Sweet Baby Inc. liking this, I find to be hilarious. Kim Blair is a very smart woman in the sense that she likes to stay in the shadows and let other people do the fighting for her and let other people take the fall for her. But she'll be caught liking certain things every now and then. That it's pretty clear that she wants these things to happen. They all want these things to happen. But I'll discuss later on in this video why this is not going to happen. So another screenshot from Master TDS showcases that Sweet Baby Inc.'s website apparently was offline today, and it's been down since yesterday. Now, this could be because they might be updating the website. Remember last time their website was down, they ended up deleting everything from the website. They used to showcase who their partners were. They used to showcase the projects they were working on. Now that's all completely gone from their website, but apparently their website is down again. Master the TDS says breaking news. Sweet Baby Inc.'s website is offline. It's been down since yesterday. This comes right after Kim Blair said in a recent interview that Writing Raven and I reviewed that there are thousands of videos about us, but of those people, no one has written us to say, hey, can I just ask a couple of questions about how this works? Interesting timing. Could this be related? Now, obviously, this is a massive lie, because people did reach out. There were multiple people, especially people that are not on our particular side, that reached out to Sweet Baby Inc. to try to get answers to their questions. They didn't want to answer questions. They wanted to gaslight people and tell them they only wanted to speak to the access media. They only wanted to speak to the journalists who they knew were going to be on their side. They wanted to get people to be convinced that they're just a small narrative consultancy group. They're not a DEI group. They're not a DEI company. They don't even know what that means. That's what they try to convince people. Meanwhile, every single thing they work on is pushed out to be the same exact thing. If you look at all the stuff that they've worked on in the past, almost every female black character looks the same. talks the same, acts insufferable. It's almost as if they do exactly what you think they do. And it's so hilarious to me because they spent so much of this time trying to convince people that they don't do this stuff. Meanwhile, they could have just been honest from the jump, and people would have been like, yep, we pretty much knew that was the case. So we're just going to avoid games that you work on and we're going to move on. But no, not only did you want to gaslight people and try to convince them that it's not what you do, but then you wanted to attack them and call them liars, grifters, and everything under the sun. But then when they fire back at you, suddenly that's a problem and that's not allowed. But anyway, so we're going to go over this post. You can see here, Nick Calandra says the following over on LinkedIn, says, I really wonder when these game studios are going to take action against these YouTubers and social media grifters making up lies about people working at their studios, their business dealings, sales data, etc. It's clearly affecting businesses, review bombing, harassment of developers, stalking campaigns. When do you take a stand? It's not contained to social media anymore, and we all know it. I find this to be so interesting. Let's break this down, Nicky boy. So first he says, YouTubers and social media grifters. You don't know what the meaning of the word grifter is. You clearly, after a year, have not learned the meaning of the word because you're still misusing it incorrectly, which I'm not surprised. On top of that, you are only mentioning social media grifters and YouTube grifters because, quite frankly, you are angry that those YouTubers are making more money than you are or making as much money as you are. You want to be the only one, aside from your little friends over at Second Win, to be making any money doing gaming news or gaming content outside of the access media. You want to be the only one. It's amazing how you want to claim there is a stalking campaign, and yet here you are 1 fucking year later still talking about the same YouTubers and the same social media grifters that you were talking about last year. For 15 months, you've been clearly looking at YouTubers and social media grifters, and nobody has really talked about you up until right now, but you clearly have not given up. You clearly have been looking at the content, watching what people do, watching what people talk about. Do you have any proof of anything that you've said? Can you actually link anything that you've said? No, you can't. But the funny thing is, there are people that are trying to link what you said. The hilarious thing is that we're going to go over in a separate video, but I just want to showcase something to you guys. Magic the Gathering got caught recently in a survey trying to ask the following questions about whether or not there's been any social media influencers, YouTubers, streamers who have given negative sentiment about Magic the Gathering's recent Marvel Spider-Man box. And can you please specify the names of those influencers, YouTubers, and streamers? I find this to be very curious, but we're going to cover that in another video. I wanted to bring it up because I find that to be very curious. Now, with all this being said, okay, you are trying to say people are grifters. You don't know what it means. You're trying to say people are making up lies about the people working at the studios. There is no lies being made, okay? I don't understand what lies you think they are being told, but the only thing that ever gets covered by people within a studio is whenever someone says something stupid. That's the only time somebody gets covered that's within a studio. Otherwise, nobody cares, right? So nobody's going to cover what you say unless you said something dumb. The most recent example will probably be Ghost of Antifa, right? With Erika Ishii and her post about when she claimed that she was part of Antifa. That's a pretty stupid fucking thing to say, right? Whether you are joking or not, regardless, when people caught on to that, yes, they're probably going to talk about that. Are you going to claim that it's a lie that she said that she's part of Antifa? No, you can't, because it's there, like she said it. And that's the reason why we know that it's not about lies. And then now you say the beautiful thing, and I cannot wait to talk about this part. You want to say that people are making up lies about the business dealings and the sales data. Let me ask you a question, Nick Calandra. How can you be truthful or lying about sales data when nobody has access to it? How can you be truthful or lying about data that nobody has access to except for the companies that won't release it, right? All you could do is theory craft about the numbers, which is exactly what we do every day. It's exactly what you do every day. These studios won't release their numbers because they know that it can be utilized against them, right? So they like to keep the numbers hidden. So how is it a lie to talk about numbers that nobody has access to see whether or not it's true or not? How do you know it's not true? Do you have access to the numbers? Do you know every single exact number? What are you going to do? You're going to mention Circana? You're going to mention Circana or Lydia Analytics? You're going to mention one of those two companies that are outside the actual company themselves that they're referencing, and everything is to be taken with a grain of salt because they're estimations? Are you going to say they're lying? because they're estimating? Or are you going to say it's okay for them to estimate because they're talking positively about the game, right? You're such a fucking, it's unbelievable. I cannot believe that there is somebody out there that genuinely will look in the mirror and try to speak like this and talk as if he's not publicly lying to people, when we all know that's exactly what you're doing, bro. Nobody has access to the sales data. The only thing we can utilize is the Steam numbers, because Steam, thankfully, is transparent enough to tell us the numbers of the sales. Well, not necessarily the sales, that's all estimated, but tell us the concurrent numbers of the video game. And then we can kind of gauge based off previous video games how many copies were sold. But everybody's gauging, right? Where we don't know anything, right? We genuinely don't know. We can only gauge. But what we can say is that you just admitted that it's affecting business. You just admitted that by us talking about the numbers and gauging them and theory crafting and trying to come up with like all these different kind of possibilities, you just admitted that we are hurting the industry, which means that what we're talking about must be true enough, because these studios, I don't know if you've been paying attention, Nick Calandra, it's been a year since we've spoken, but over the last year, there has been over 40,000 plus layoffs within the gaming industry and tech companies as a whole. There has been multiple studios that have closed down that otherwise were being perfectly fine, not just a year ago, right? How is it that a year ago they were perfectly fine, but suddenly when the subsidization money goes away in 2025, now they're all closing down? How is that possible? It's only possible because, well, the money's gone, Nick. The money is gone, my guy. And people know it. People obviously see it, right? The gaming journalism jobs have gone to basically completely nothing at this point. That's why most of them are trying to be content creators. It's amazing how you guys shit on YouTubers. You shit on grifters. But my guy, you are a YouTuber. You yourself are a YouTuber. Have we forgotten? Let me go back to a post all the way back in August of 2024, where Nick Calandra himself had to ensure and be told, he told everybody who worked at Second Wind that he had to make a certain amount of money because he had to maintain a certain lifestyle. Do we remember that? Let's remind them. So I said, keep in mind about these statements. There is over $200,000 in revenue each quarter on the line when it comes to this company. Frost exposed Second Wind, putting all that at risk. Nick Calandra has gotten used to a certain lifestyle afforded to him by Second Wind. His salary seems to be $8,000 a month, which for some might not even seem like a ton, but there are mainstream perks that save him money and get him access as well. Overall, it's a big win for him. Each member of this company stands to lose a lot if they let the ship go down too quickly. This PR response is expected, and it doesn't change the fact that the company will no doubt be affected by this. This was back when Frost ended up leaving the company, and he made his whole expose video on the company, and he showcased the salaries that they were making. And Nick Calandra, look at good old Nicky Boy, right? When he's calling everybody else a fucking grifter, look at good old Nicky Boy. He has to maintain that $8,000 a month. This was the salary breakdown for Second Wind. Obviously, Yahtzee or Yachts, whatever, he is going to be at the top because, well, he's the one that brings the people in. He's the one that brings the money in. He's the reason why their Patreon is where it's at. So Yahtzee was getting paid a salary of $12,500 a month. Oh, good old Nicky Boy over here complaining about YouTube grifters was making a little over $8,000 a month. Everybody else other than him were making $6,000 a month or less, right, at Second Wind. So keep in mind, Second Wind's Patreon has continued to go less and less and less. And the hilarious thing about all this is that Second Wind's quarterly earnings report is about to drop. So we're going to find out whether or not they are actually making more money or less money. Now, Nick Calandra has obviously found out about this. He's blocked Mass of the TDS ages ago, I got to imagine. And now he said, let me show you. Hold on. Let me show you the full statement really quick. So it's 2 weeks ago, he made the following statement. I think a lot of potential clients for Second Wind sponsorship program are sleeping on our offerings. We make custom ads that our audience enjoys with placement at the tail end of the video, which respects their time. Nobody likes having to start a video and then immediately listening to a 60-second ad. We get lots of engagement on where we put our ads, and we offer ad-free videos as one of the perks for our $5 subscription, and literally nobody uses it. Sounds like a personal problem, Nicky Boy. Now, when we scroll down, he obviously has found out that people are talking about this stuff, right? He has found out about it, and of course, the coping is going to begin. He says, LOL, the usual suspects are still stalking my social media profile a year later. My guy, you are the one a year later who first mentioned YouTubers and grifters. You are the one who did that. So naturally, if you are paying attention to the supposed YouTubers and the grifters, then clearly there might be some people who might pay attention to a post or two of yours. Actually, they probably even have notifications on. So the rare chance they see something interesting, they're going to screenshot it and post it. I'm not one of them because I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't care what you do. I don't care what anybody fucking does, honestly, at the end of the day. But what I don't like is you trying to summon the gaming industry to come after YouTubers and social media profiles. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest, okay, Nikki boy? We all know who you're talking about. You're talking about Grums, okay? When you talk about social media influencers, you are talking about Grums and Asmongold. That is the two people you're talking about because you tried to make a cancel campaign against Smash JT and get his website taken down. You got his website taken down for 24 hours. You celebrated on social media as if it was a massive victory, only to find out 24 hours after that the website was back up and nothing was wrong. Everything is back up. It has been up ever since. And you went running away with your tail in between your legs because, well, you had to admit that didn't last very long, right? So you tried to cancel Smash JT, and meanwhile, you're out here trying to pretend like everybody's stalking you. Get the fuck out of here with this shit, bro. You just say the name, bro. You clearly don't like Grums. I know I don't even have anything to do with it. But the funny thing is, you don't like Grums. A lot of people don't like Grums. Just say it. He's not Voldemort. Just say his name, bro. Just say his name. Anyway. So the usual suspects are still stalking my social media profiles a year later and found a LinkedIn post they didn't like because I called on studios to protect their employees better from the constant targeting they get on social media. So now they're trying to target me again. Pathetic. Nobody is trying to target any of these developers. The only time these developers get called out is when they do something crazy. Perhaps, maybe celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk or something along those lines. Maybe something like that. Then yeah, sure. There's obviously going to be people that are going to be called out for that. Otherwise, nobody fucking cares. There is tens of thousands of developers in the gaming industry, and only a couple of them per month get supposedly called out for the bullshit they do. And meanwhile, you're trying to make it seem as if everybody's getting called out. My guy, the industry is massive, okay? There's probably over 100,000 developers all throughout the entire gaming industry, and only a couple get called out per month. Come on, man. What are we doing? Anyway, then he says, I will never be afraid of these people. You are, though. You are, because you are clearly nonstop thinking about this shit. You have been thinking about Grums ever since that whole Giga Bear thing, right? The whole thing that happened with Smash JT and McDizzle was almost identical to what happened with you and Giga Bear and Grums, where Giga Bear got you, unfortunately. And it became a thing where he tricked you into thinking he was an informant against Grums. You ran with the story. Come to find out it was fake. Grums, gave you an L there. And that was it. You have never let it go at that point. Literally never let it go. Then he says, unintelligent, unloved failures. That is projection. That is massive level of projection. Some of the people you talk about literally have families, bro. They literally have kids. You're trying to say they're unloved failures of people. That is literally projection. This is like, this guy, you can clearly tell. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him on a stream talking to people. You can clearly see that he holds so much anger inside of him that he speaks with he's scared that every time he speaks, he's just going to fucking lash out. So he's desperately trying to maintain composure. But this dude has so much anger inside of him that he's projecting on everybody that, oh, they're just unintelligent, unloved failures. If they're so unintelligent, why are they so effective, Nick Calandra? If they're so unintelligent, why do you care about them being on YouTube or not? Why do you care about them making money or not? If they're so unintelligent, why are you not decimating them in views? Why are you not decimating them in influence? If they're so unintelligent, how come you keep getting felted by them? How come? Why is that? If they're so unintelligent, what does that make you? Somebody who has less influence. Because let's be real, you can't use Second Wind as any kind of proof that you have influence, because the real influence comes from Yahtzee. Second Wind is a group. Look how many people work there. Look how many people work there at Second Wind. You guys, how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 12, maybe, now that Frost is not there. Maybe there's even less now because you guys don't make as much money. Regardless, you probably have about 10 people working on Second Wind. So you don't have any particular influence here. It's all Yahtzee. So what are we really saying here? If the people are truly that unintelligent, if they are truly that unloved, then surely you would be able to do way better than them in every scenario. Influence, money, all that stuff. You should be doing better than everybody, right? So why aren't you? How come? Why aren't you doing better? And I know you're going to cope and you're going to say, well, I am doing better. No, you're not, bro. No, you're not, bro. Because if you're still thinking about YouTubers and you're still trying to remove them from the platform because you think they're hurting sales, You clearly are not doing better. You clearly are constantly thinking about these people. You clearly can't get over Grums. And I know it's about Grums. Like, we all know, bro. Everybody knows it's about Grums. Then he says people who waste their lives away screeching at people on the internet for attention and suckering them out of money. It's always about the money, bro. How are you going to say suckering people out of money when you provide literally nothing, bro? Second Wind is ran and funded by Yahtzee and his following. That is the only reason why you guys are anywhere where you are. How, again, it's all about the money. This guy, Nicky Boy, he doesn't want to just be making $8,000 a month. He wants to be making $20,000-$30,000 a month. He wants to be the guy, right? That's the thing. He wants to be the guy, and he is so filled with envy that he can't let it go. He is coping and seething to the fucking max. He can't let it go. Stop worrying about what other people are making, my guy. Stop worrying about what other people are doing on their platforms. Why don't you focus on your own platform? Focus on you. You clearly have issues. You're saying people aren't utilizing certain perks for your subscriptions. Why don't you focus on your customers? Why don't you focus on your fan base and focus on your own platform instead of worrying about what other people are doing and what they're making? Because you sound fucking salty. That's really what it is. Anyway, he says they're going to do their usual videos about me now, and I will continue to laugh at them. Hey, we have come full circle, Nicky Boy. 15 months, or what is it? No, 14 months later. 14 months later, and here we are, Nick Calandra. Made the one and only video that I'm going to make on you all year because I don't give a fuck. The only reason why we're making this video is to inform the people that, yes, the people that hate us are still out there. And for some reason, they're still thinking about us. And it's hilarious that Second Wind, a group of how many of you? How many of you again? Like 12, 10, whatever. How is it that I play more video games in a month than a group of 10 people do in 1 month? How is that possible? Make it make sense from this supposed grifter. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and go follow Master TDS. I'm going to link all this in the description box below, and I will see you guys on the next one. See you next year, Nicky Boy.